Guys, wouldn't your wife or girlfriend love it if you treated her to the very best this Christmas? Now you can, with the world's softest pajamas by Pajamagram. Created by a team of pajama experts, the world's softest PJs are lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny, like cashmere, only better. She'll love how heavenly they feel. Includes free gift packaging and Christmas delivery is guaranteed. So visit pajamagram.com or call 1-800-GIVE-PJs.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show here with you for the next hour over the airwaves of ESPN Radio, Sirius XM style channel. Lady number to call up as always is 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-SAY-ESPN. I'm going to get to some football and the violence we witnessed last night in just a second. But I want to go back to this Lonzo Ball deal as it pertains to Earvin Magic Johnson, because I want to give y'all a little basketball fanatics everywhere. I want to give you a little history. And I apologize again because I always confuse Sidney Moncrief with Junior Bridgman, both of whom played for the Milwaukee Bucks at one moment in time. Coming out of the draft in 1979, Magic Johnson was this 6'9" point guard in a power forward's body who could pass and dribble and rebound with the best of them. The question was, could he shoot? According to numerous reports over the years, Jerry West, former coach of the Los Angeles Lakers at the time, an advisor to the former owner, the late Jack Kent Cooke, who owned the Lakers at that time, and somebody that Jack Kent Cooke admired tremendously, he took Jerry West's advice to heart. It mattered to him. And according to numerous reports, something Jerry West is reticent to acknowledge according to those reports, Jerry West had recommended that the Lakers take Sidney Moncrief instead of Earvin Magic Johnson. Okay? Because Earvin Magic Johnson couldn't shoot, and he was wondering whether a 6'9" guy could hold up in the fast-paced NBA. But the reason why I'm bringing this up, because Lonzo Ball is on my mind. And I want you to sit up here and listen from an article that I'm reading dated back in 2012 in Sports Illustrated. It talked about in the weeks leading up to the 1979 NBA draft, the Lakers, owners of the first pick, were more torn than in the ensuing decades they'd ever let on. Excuse me. There were two magnificent college basketball players on their board, players with myriad skills, loaded resumes, and franchise-changing potential. One was a high-flying 6'4" guard out of the University of Arkansas named Sidney Moncrief. The other was a transformative 6'9" guard out of Michigan State named Earvin Johnson. People called him Magic. Moncrief was everything a pro team would want in a player. He was polished beyond polished, lightning quick, a dead-eyed shooter with a Walt Frazier-esque first step and an eagerness to play tenacious defense. The Los Angeles Times, Ted Green, compared him rightly to David Thompson. And I'm here to tell y'all, this is Stephen A. talking to you. That is a very accurate comparison. He was comparable to David Thompson. It says here, quote, he was a terrific basketball player since Paul Westhead, who would eventually coach the Lakers that season. You could watch Sidney Moncrief play and know he had all the tools, right? Then they went on to go and talk about Magic Johnson. And they talked about Jerry West debating the issue because he had already had Norm Nixon, a top-shelf point guard who had just averaged 17 points and 9 assists in just his second season in the NBA. The idea of two stars playing the same position made very little sense. But listen to this quote from Sidney Moncrief, which is something that a guy like Lonzo Ball should take into consideration, which is something that the New York Knicks could take into consideration with Ntilikina and his useless offensive self. He plays defense, but offensively, please. But listen to this quote from Moncrief. This is years later. Honestly, I didn't have a strong preference. Detroit, Chicago, Milwaukee, Los Angeles, New York all expressed interest, and only L.A. was warm. So I guess that was preferable. But really, I just wanted to be drafted. This is what he said. Then it goes on to say, of course, we all know how this turned out. Under the directive of Jack Kent Cooke, the team's outgoing owner, Los Angeles went with Johnson's larger-than-life persona and proceeded to have one of the great runs in NBA history. Moncrief, meanwhile, fell to the 5th pick, where Milwaukee swooped him up, He became a 5-time All-Star as well as one of the finest players in franchise history, but he was no Magic Johnson. And listen to this quote. If you ask me what would have happened had the Lakers taken me, Sidney Moncrief said, I'll be completely honest. Maybe we win a championship, but there's no way the Lakers do with me what they did with Magic Johnson. That team needed one guy to get everyone to play together, and he was it. There's a reason Magic Johnson goes down as one of the great players. He could do everything. That's all you need to know about Lonzo Ball and his expectations. Your Magic, you draft somebody looking to reinvigorate Showtime. That's what you're looking for. Do you see why I get on aggression? Do you see why I focus on the want it mentality? The go get it mentality? Do you understand now, ladies and gentlemen? Do you understand why it's driving me crazy to watch guys like Lonzo or Ntilikina playing a point guard spot in an NBA in this day and age? Have you not seen CP3? 7-0 since he returned with the Houston Rockets. Have you not seen Steph Curry? Have you not noticed Russell Westbrook out of UCLA, by the way? Have you not seen all of these people? Are you not waiting if you're Cleveland to see what Isaiah Thomas is going to do when he comes back? Have you not watched Kyrie Irving in Boston? Do you not get it yet? Huh? This is what it's about. You can't be some passive guard, sitting back, taking pictures, passing the ball, running to the corner, wait for the action to come to you. You got to take it. You got to want it. You got to push for it. You got to go get it. You got to force everybody to come get it because you're coming. That's what you got to do. It ain't happening in New York. It ain't happening in L.A. It's happening in Boston. Chances are it's going to happen in Cleveland. It's going to happen in OKC. It's happening in Houston. It used to happen in Chicago when Derrick Rose was there. A healthy Derrick Rose. Game has changed. It's been modified to some degree, but we all know what the principle is. You're the point guard. You're the captain of the ship on the floor. There are expectations that come with that. You got to want it, especially if you're in L.A. or New York, top 2 markets in America. And in the case of Lonzo Ball, my God, it's L.A. It's Showtime. This is what it's all about. It's Tinseltown, baby. It's Hollywood. It's Rodeo Drive. It's Venice Beach. It's Melrose. What you think this is? You got to go get it. That's why every game that Lonzo struggles makes life harder for Magic. Because Magic knew what he was going to do when he arrived in the NBA, and he did it. He knows what it takes. He's the one who swore by this kid. That's the way it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's the way it should be. 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-SAY-ESPN. Your calls and some NFL talk and more on this subject in a minute. You are listening live to Stephen A., ESPN Radio.
Want to be a part of the show? Hit Stephen A. up weekdays from 1 to 3 Eastern at 866-729-3776.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I've never felt more alive. Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will feel more alive. You either possess functioning respiratory and circulatory systems, or you do not, or you are a zombie. If you are indeed a brain-starved zombie and you would like to save money on car insurance, the Geico legal team applauds your excellent life choices, even in your shambling afterlife. But we strongly encourage you to visit geico.com or download the Geico app. Please stay a minimum of 500 feet away from our large and presumably delicious, delicious brains.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Before I get back to the calls, let me say a couple of things. Number one, Juju Smith-Schuster, wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who laid that hit on Vontaze Burfict, has been suspended for 1 game. He deserved it. Leoka, the cornerback for the Cincinnati Bengals, with that headshot to Antonio Brown in the end zone, he also got suspended for 1 game. Excuse me. It's the right call by the NFL. You got to send a message that you're going to lose time and you're going to lose money if you distribute headshots. It's just that simple. You got to do everything you can to avoid those headshots. And I can't stand when players act like, okay, I'm going to go right after your knees or lower because I want to make sure I don't hit you in the head. Stop it. There's plenty of space from the head to the knee that you could hit without going for somebody's head or going to shatter somebody's leg and end their careers. It makes me sick when guys say stuff like that. That's just so stupid. And it's cruel, but it is what it is. They both deserve the 1-game suspension. It is what it is. It was very alarming to see the Steelers-Bengals game last night. As Big Ben Roethlisberger said, we play against the Baltimore Ravens. That's just hardcore AFC North football. Against the Bengals, it's a bit something different, to the point where even Mike Tomlin refused to get into it because he knows what time it is. It's an ugly, ugly situation. You could see him and Marvin Lewis shaking hands. There's no love lost between those guys, not from what I saw. And I can tell you right, and if you're Marvin Lewis, I mean, is it official yet? Should you be fired by now? The folks in Cincinnati, you don't understand? This will mark 15 years this man has been the head coach of this franchise and not one single playoff victory in that span. That's an embarrassment. And as a black man, I speak up on behalf of African Americans all the time, wishing that they get some of the opportunities they deserve. But I'm also going to get rid of those who deserve to be gotten rid of. I'm not saying that Marvin Lewis don't deserve to be a head coach somewhere. He damn sure should be out of Cincinnati. Should have been going years ago. Needs to be gone now. I don't know how many years I have to prove my point. Another season, another time he's going home. With the talent that he has, he's not the leader of men that you need him to be for that franchise. He needs to go. Plain and simple. But back to the game. It was ugly and it was violent. 11 personal fouls. 11. Vontaze Burfict carried out on the stretcher. Antonio Brown headshot. Shazier, we're praying for him, but that was no illegal hit involvement. He just snapped his head back. He went in with his head all wrong, positioned wrong, and it tweaked his back a little bit, but there was no movement in his lower extremities, and guys were in panic mode because they thought he was paralyzed. So our prayers go out for him for full and healthy recovery. But anything that you were wondering about in terms of safety measures that the NFL felt compelled to enforce all of these years, the time for lamenting that stuff came to an end last night. You can't have guys playing like that. You can't have guys on a football field playing in a sport that already allows an alarming level of violence legally, and you still can't play within the rules with the latitude that you're getting, that you already have to inflict violence and punishment upon another human being. You still can't control yourself. You don't deserve our sympathy. You don't deserve our understanding. It's that alarming. It's that bad. I'll tell you what was even worse to me. Gronkowski having his suspension reduced to 1 game. Who the hell made that decision? They should be ashamed of themselves. Gronkowski's lucky he can get suspended for the rest of the season. Ladies and gentlemen, he's about 270 pounds. A defender considerably smaller than him defended against the pass, was holding a little bit, shoving a little bit, no doubt. Got away with it, frustrated Gronkowski. While on the ground, laying with his face towards the ground, Gronkowski came up behind him. He was laying down. Gronkowski was standing up. Gronkowski came up behind him, leading with his right elbow, and put the full weight of his 270-pound body on the back of this dude's neck, forcing him to be concussed. And all that was for one game? I like Gronkowski. He's a fun-loving dude. Should have been suspended a minimum of 3 games. Minimum. And I say, again, what I said yesterday, because I see, various publications and all of this stuff, pointing to what I said yesterday. Of course, the media in Boston's going to pick up on it, including WEEI, which is a fantastic, phenomenal radio station. They just got a couple of dudes that don't belong on the air, but that's a different subject for another day. Because they're always trying to get somebody instead of just doing their damn job. But the station is good with a lot of good people, a lot of good hosts as well. I ain't talking about everybody. But here's the deal. It's very, very interesting because you're gonna see people pointing to Tom Brady and his histrionics and theatrics on the sidelines with Josh McDaniels. Gronkowski in the penalty end. Stephen A. said, if they were black, they'd be treated differently. You're damn right I said it. I didn't stutter. Could you imagine a 270-pound black man leading with his elbow and going to the back of some dude's neck while they were on the ground? You know what they would be saying about him? Do you know what they would be saying about Cam Newton if he was on the sidelines acting up the way that Tom Brady did? And I have no problem with Tom Brady whatsoever. He did nothing wrong. I'm not talking about Tom Brady. He did nothing wrong. You're in the heat of competition. You're upset with your offensive coordinator. You're a bit demonstrative. You speak up. You speak out. Your body language isn't great. So what? You're in the heat of competition. That's their business. I'm not saying anything negative about Tom Brady whatsoever. What I am saying is, had that been Cam Newton, he would have been treated a bit differently. I said it. I mean it. I ain't stutter one damn bit because it's the truth. 866. Say ESPN. It's 866-729-3776. Back to the phones we go. Jose in New Jersey, talk to me. You're live with Stephen A.
Yeah, I think that what the NFL should really do is, at the end of the day, figure out a way how to punish them even more. I mean, that one-game suspension for Gronkowski, that is ridiculous. And I know the guys are bigger, faster, and it's more violent, like you say, opposed to the 80s and the 70s. But these guys, at the end of their career, the NFL should provide some kind of medical insurance for these guys because they give so much and get so little when their career is over. And one quick thing on the Giants. I'm a Jet fan, but they have to keep Manning if they're going to get a rookie quarterback because it's baby steps and it takes 3 to 4 years to get one of those college kids to start playing like a professional. I'm speaking from experience because I see what the Jets had in the last couple of years with quarterbacks, and they don't want to go that route.
I got you. I appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. 866-729-3776, 866-SAY-ESPN. On another note, according to NBC News, Russia has been banned from the 2018 Winter Olympics due to a doping scandal, but athletes can still compete as neutrals, whatever the hell that means. More of the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast. Damn it, I mean it!
Back to the phones we go, right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, 866-SAY-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. Al in Brooklyn, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, Stephen A. How you doing today? Sorry you're a little under the weather.
Thank you, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment on the LeVar Ball thing. I think he's really doing his sons a good service. He did a brilliant job marketing Lonzo and getting the big baller brand off the ground. I think now he just needs to take a step back and let the boys be boys, let the men be men, let Lonzo concentrate on playing ball, and his other son, LeAngelo, I mean, he needs to pay for what he did. I mean, you want to pull him out of school because they suspended him? I mean, what kind of lesson are you teaching your son? That
Amen.
There's no consequences to what you did.
Amen. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it, man. Let's go to Thomas in Newark. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead, Thomas.
Yeah, how you doing, Stephen A?
I'm all right. You're live on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah. I know you know the term double consciousness about Du Bois. Like when you were speaking about Gronk and all these different people, how they different treat. I understand things are not fair. Like we don't get the same treatment as black people in America. That's leading me to what the Ball Father's doing. Yo, none of these institutions really care about our kids. That school didn't let that boy go there for free. They're not. He had to play basketball and earn his way to go there. They don't reserve the right to punish him as they want.
Stop right there. You're missing the point, in my opinion. Here's why, Thomas. That's a different subject. The issue in question is, if you are a father, do you pull your son out of school because he may not get to play until after Christmas? That's the question. We know what the universities do. We know how hypocritical the NCAA is. We know all that other stuff that you were going to say. But the question is, do you pull your son out of school just because he ain't going to get to play until after Christmas, after he went to another country and created an international incident by committing a crime?
Hello?
You didn't hear me?
No, I'm saying, but there are other schools. Like we have to start.
No. That's not what I'm saying. No. Listen, that's not the issue. Stick to the issue. It's not about there being other schools. Forget all of that. He can sit out a year. He can go to another school. Okay? He can go to the G League. He can go play overseas, maybe. Forget all that for a second. If your son committed a crime and created an international incident because of it, along with two other players, do you pull your son out of that school, the school you let him go to, the school you told everybody in the world he was going to? Do you pull him out just because he can't play until after Christmas?
I don't know what they're talking about in the background. I don't know the conversation that's going on.
I don't forget them. I just asked you a question. You talking to me. The hell with all of that. I just gave you the scenario. Forget all that. You talking to Stephen A. Did you call up to the Stephen A. Smith Show? Did you just do that? Ain't you talking to me?
Hello?
Goodbye,
I'm
man.
talking to you.
Get a better signal. Get a better signal. I asked you 3 times. The point is, see, that's our problem. White, black, and beyond. Every time somebody don't want to discuss an issue, they got a problem with it and they create a different problem. I understand all the stuff that goes with it. The college institution, the fact that they shouldn't have dominion, all of this stuff. I get it. I understand. He can go to another school. I understand, Thomas. I understand. The question is, if your son created an international incident by committing a crime in the school that you allowed him to go to, that you bragged that he was going to go to, when your other son was there, that school decides to punish him to protect their image, their brand, and also to set a shining example moving forward for college athletes to follow. And the punishment is, we ain't going to let you play basketball for a couple months. Do you pull him out of school and make that kind of life-altering decision just because of that? That's the question. You don't get to answer another question. This is my show. You answer that question because that's what we're dealing with here. Chris in L.A., talk to me.
Hey, Stephen A., good morning. I just wanted to touch on, I caught the last hour, so I didn't get the first hour, but I wanted to call on what you mentioned regarding Magic and Sidney Moncrief, the comparison, and what you're not seeing, the lack thereof of Lonzo Ball. You remember when they were doing the whole NBA draft and they were evaluating talent, and then you had mentioned, I don't know if it was you reported or someone reported that Lonzo had showed up out of shape. You remember that, Stephen A.?
Yes.
Potentially?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so that right there kind of shows me like the red flag, and it makes me step back and think, did Magic really evaluate talent, or was this to generate, I can't say revenue for the Lakers, because obviously we know the Lakers are probably the most expensive NBA franchise now, but...
Well, they need revenue. They ain't Ballmer. They ain't billionaires, so they need revenue. Make no mistake about that. But go ahead.
there were red flags, and now you see the lack thereof, and like you said, the aggression and all that good stuff, Stephen A. It just makes you step back and say, did Magic really do his homework on the guy? And I like Lonzo. He's not playing well. I get it. He's lacking aggression. I get all that stuff. But now it's time for us to take a step back and look at Pelinka and Magic. And, like, you guys really evaluate the Tatums, the other guys who were coming out of the draft. Did we really step back and do that and do what's best for the Laker organization?
Let's say this. It's not about whether or not they stepped back and did their homework. I don't think we need to question that about Magic. I think the question that Magic warrants with every passing day that Lonzo is struggling, while we're comparing him to the other picks that Magic and the Lakers passed on, the real question ain't about homework. It's about whether or not you made a basketball decision or you made a box office decision. That's the question for Magic Johnson.
I agree 100%, Stephen. But my thing is, if he did make a business decision, it not just set the Lakers back for years. I mean, it can set us back for years, Stephen A.
Yeah,
it can set us back for years.
That's why you asked the question. That's why you asked the question. Because what we need to hear from Magic is he believes in this kid. He has seen enough to continue to believe in this kid. That's what we need to see from Magic Johnson moving forward. Appreciate the call, man. Thank you. Let's go to Jeff in Hollywood. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, what up, Stephen A? Mad love and respect, man.
Thank you.
I echo your feelings basically about that LeVar Ball thing because, I mean, at first when LeVar Ball came on the scene, he was brash, he was arrogant, but I saw something I thought was positive in the fact that he was trying to push his son.
Right.
But there's a point, I think, where you got to back up. Now that he's in the NBA, you need to back up. And with respect to the other son, I agree with you totally, man. It's like, what are you really trying to teach your son? Your son is like, oh, I could get away with doing this. It's okay to go somewhere to a foreign country and steal something. You know, I don't even think from a parent standpoint that he's really trying to teach his son the right thing. Because, I mean, hey, you've seen it a million times. These guys play basketball and other sports, but that's a small window of their life. They got to be able to do other things. And a college education, I don't care, is necessary. So for him not to have won his child, I mean, with Lonzo, he had a chance to play. So, okay, go. But this other guy, he needs to be in college.
Well, listen, man, here's what it comes down to. The real problem with LeVar is that, you know, it's this mentality that, look, you're pulling your son out of school because he might not play till the new year. You're drastically altering his life because you're disgusted with how they're handling an immediate situation. What if LiAngelo comes out there in January, Steve Alford had put him on the court, and then LiAngelo starts balling for UCLA?
Right.
I mean, he's coming back. He might have been back 2 months before March Madness.
Right.
Why mess with that? Because you don't like something.
Exactly.
That's
and
too much.
Teaching his son, and what is he teaching his son? When something gets difficult, just get disgusted and grab all your stuff and go home? That's not the right approach.
There you go. Appreciate the call, man. Thank you. 866-729-3776. That's 866-SAY-ESPN. We'll close the show with your calls in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast. Damn it, I mean it!
A few minutes left to go on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Let's get right to it. Get your points quick and succinctly. Don't do it, I will make you. Let's go to Billy in Long Island. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
What's up, Stephen A? I want to talk about Rob Gronkowski. I can't believe he got one game when he was with the Lions, he got suspended 2 games when he kicked that guy on the Green Bay lineman.
Yep.
He got suspended 2 games at least. And what Gronkowski did was despicable. He was even worse than that.
Yes,
and I'm white, and that's just crazy.
It's inconsistency on the part of the National Football League, and that's what they got to do a better job of, more so than anything else. But I appreciate the call, Billy. Thank you so much. Let's go to Calvin. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Cal.
Hey, Stephen A., I really believe that Lonzo ball games has been overanalyzed, but mainly because of his dad. You know, point guard is the hardest position. You come out of college and try to come into the pros and play. Everybody can't be Isaiah Thomas. And people will say, well, Magic Johnson came out and he was great, but Magic Johnson came into a ready-made, experienced lineup. And all the people that Lonzo is leading are young people. So he's learning that position. I think he's going to be fine, and I don't think Magic missed on his evaluation at all.
Calvin, I appreciate that synopsis, but let me say something to you here that's very, very important. We have to understand that Lonzo isn't being asked just to be a point guard. Lonzo is being asked to reinvigorate Showtime. See the difference? That's the problem with this. We have to understand the others have the license to just go out there and play ball. That's not Lonzo. You got to want Showtime. And it's one of those situations where I think analyzing and evaluating one's personality should play a tremendous factor in it as well. If I'm in New York, that's a different animal than Charlotte and North Carolina. If I'm in Charlotte, like, for example, let me give you a perfect example. You like this analogy, Cal? Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
I'm in L.A., all right? And I'm a star. And I love just being out there. I want to be on the cover of GQ. I want to be in Playboy magazine. I want to be seen out with a different woman every night. You understand? That's L.A., all right, in some people's eyes anyway. The sunshine, the palm trees, and all of that other stuff. You get where I'm coming from, Calvin?
Yeah, I get you.
Hold on, let me finish. How would that work in Charlotte?
Wouldn't be the same in Charlotte.
The Bible Belt. You see where I'm going?
I get all of that.
There's something to be said. There's something to be said about the environment that you inherit when you arrive someplace. It matters, man. And if you got Lonzo, to me, LeVar Ball's personality inside his son would have been better suited for L.A., at least at this moment.
I just believe that he will be all right in the long run. Him leading nothing but young men is part of his maturation that he has to go through to get to that point.
I think you're right, Calvin, but I think you're right. But I think you got to be real about the question marks that come attached to the level of patience folks in Los Angeles will be willing to show him. That's all I'm saying.
That time.
All right, man. Appreciate the call. Bill in Queens, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Stephen. Thanks for taking my call. I was going to say something about Eli, but sticking with the topic of LeVar Ball, and to answer your question, the gentleman was beating around the bush. The correct answer as a father is no. You stay at UCLA. Everybody's watching. You screwed up. You fix it. And you let everybody know that you made a mistake and you're a man and you can pick yourself up and move forward. That's the correct answer.
Well, the son was willing to do it until her daddy yanked him out of school.
My kid, if it was my kid, I'd be telling him you're staying in UCLA and you're going to let everybody know that you're a man, you made a mistake, everybody stumbles, you're going to pick yourself up and move forward. And you're going to stay at UCLA and fix it.
I agree with you. I agree. Period. Appreciate the call. Rob in Philly, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, Rob?
Thanks for taking the call, Stephen A. Real quick, with LeVar Ball, I agree with you totally. I think that he's not showing his son that he needs to be accountable and responsible. And I think that the lack of him accepting the consequences of his actions is something that is not a good precedent for him to set. Also, I have a quick question for you, man. Want to get your opinion on it. It's two-part. One, Kyrie Irving. One, do you think that his current team success is more of a product of him or the total sum of parts that are around him at this time? And
I think it's him, and Brad Stevens is one hell of a coach, man. What a coach. Brad Stevens could coach his tail off. I think that has a lot to do with it. What's your second question?
Second question is, do you view Kyrie Irving as a franchise player in the same vein and mention them in the same breath as Zeke and AI?
Yes. I believe that. I believe at this point in time in his career, not when he was younger before LeBron arrived, but having been to 3 consecutive NBA finals, winning the championship, averaging 29 and 27 respectively in the 2 finals that he was a part of, closing the way that he does, hitting big-time shots and doing what he does, I do believe that Kyrie Irving has earned the right to be mentioned in the same breath as those brothers. He's got that kind of game. I appreciate the call. Let's go to Hakeem in Brooklyn. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, what's good? What's good?
You're live on the air. You only got a minute. Make it happen.
All right. Hey, listen, Stephen A., listen. I had a question about the Gronk situation.
Didn't I just say you on the air? Go ahead. Ask.
No, you did. You did. But I'm just saying, like, I just noticed that, like, a lot of the sports people aren't calling it a disgusting act as they did before with anybody else who might have did something that was a little foul during the game.
Well, yeah, they did that. They did that, but I've done that because Gronk was wrong to do what he did. It was a disgusting act. As far as I'm concerned, he should have been suspended for more than one game. It should have been at least 3. But I appreciate the call. Thank you. Let's go to Jacob in Cali. You're live with Stephen A. What's up? Jacob. Bye, Jacob. Muhammad in L.A. Real quick. Go ahead.
Hey, Stephen A., I just want to make a point about that Gronk suspension. I think the NFL personally just suspended him 1 game because they want him in that primetime matchup with the Steelers. What do you think about that?
Good point. Good point. Didn't even think about that. They play in a couple of weeks. You got a valid point there. They play week 15. You know? They play a week from Sunday, I think. You might have a valid point there, Muhammad. They think about them ratings. They have been losing ratings and revenue due to all the protests and stuff. And so you're certainly not trying to take marquee players off the field if you don't have to. Could be a very, very valid point. I dropped the ball on that on my part, Muhammad, because the fact of the matter is you saying that's got me thinking even more about it. And I agree with you. That's probably the reason. Doesn't make it right, because I still think he should have been suspended a minimum of 3 games. But that's just me. Got to get on out of here. I'm sick as a dog, but I made it through the show. Thank y'all for sticking with me. Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, 866-SAY-ESPN is always the number to call up. We got a lot of stuff to talk about as the week progresses, and you will hear from me again. Until then, peace and love.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.